Did you know that you can make a world of difference in the lives of children just by wearing a special pair of glasses? They are called World Citizen Glasses, and they do exciting things. They widen worldviews. They reflect the rainbow of reality, and they help you see through the eyes of children. The best thing is that they are completely free, and each and every one of you will take a pair home. They're also completely invisible and floating right in front of you. All you need to do whenever you need them is just reach out, pick them up, and put them on. I will be wearing my World Citizen glasses for this talk. I have been a teacher for many years and worked with students ages 5 to 75 in a number of different countries. And World Citizen glasses have helped me be a better teacher and person. I realized how important these glasses were when I was working in a kindergarten class in Canada and met a thoughtful and intelligent girl we'll call Cowinder. Cowinder was quiet and hardworking, and although she didn't say very much, like many introverts, her brain was noisy. It was a hub of activity. You could practically hear the clicking and whirring of all those wheels turning. She was busy eyeing her surroundings, taking mental notes on everything. She was extremely observant, a quick learner, and she liked to know and follow the rules. To get to know her and her class better, I had them doing self-portraits using crayons. Most of the class was white, so the peach crayon was a hot commodity. Kids were lining up, chatting, and waiting for their turn to use the peach crayon. During this class, Cowinder had picked up a peach crayon and started to color in her skin color. A girl beside her, we'll call her Lisa, said, "Oh no, you can't use that color, you have to use brown." And Cowinder said, "Oh." She stopped coloring, but she was still holding the peach crayon. And I could see the hurt and struggle in Cowinder's eyes. She did not want to be different. She wanted to be like all the kids she saw around her, the kids in her classroom, the kids on her favorite TV shows, the kids smiling at her from her own lunchbox at recess. There was so much packed into her tight grip around that peach crayon. What would you say? What would you do? Like many folks, I was brought up not to see race, class, gender, sexual orientation, disability, etc. Just love everybody the same. That's the answer. But it's not. Because for me to say, "Oh, I don't see color," will not cut it in a classroom full of children who are all holding crayons in their hand. So I quickly reached out, picked up, and put on my World Citizen glasses. As a world citizen, we want every child to feel they have a place and value in this world just as they are. We want Cowinder to reach for that brown crayon with pride, joy, and gusto. We want all the children to see the awesomeness of brown. So I walked over to their table and said, "Did you know that my favorite color is brown? It is so special. If you get a paint set and choose all the colors of the rainbow, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple, and you mix them together every time, and it will feel like magic because it's every time. Every time you mix them together, you will always make the color brown. And that's because brown is all the colors of the rainbow. It is so special. Brown is my favorite color." The kids nodded and hummed at this new information. Cowinder reached for the brown crayon, and she smiled as she colored. Unfortunately, Coinder's experience, it's not the only one. Studies show that children as young as 3 years old see boys as having higher status than girls, and being white with having higher status than other races. Kids easily attribute positive traits to white skin and negative ones to black and brown skin. Ask yourself, why is this happening, and happening so young? Should we blame kids like Coinder, or should we question the messages that our society is barraging our children with? Imagine that Coinder's at home and she wants to draw some school children, and she wants to print some photos off from the internet. So she gets her older brother to help her, and he types in a Google Images search, school, then boy. Up pop photos of boys going to school. Some have backpacks, some are in school uniforms. Most of the boys are white. There's even a button at the top that you can click on to get more photos of white boys. No other races, ethnicities, or skin colors have a button beside this white button. What message is Coinder getting about the value of being white in our society? And what message is she getting about the value of not being white in our society? Next, her brother types into the Google Images search, school, then girl. Up pop some photos of young girls going to school. But what also pops up are images of adult women wearing skimpy, skin-tight school uniforms. You know what kind of photos I'm talking about. What message is Coinder getting about the value of being a girl or woman in our society? Are girls valued for going to school or looking sexy? How do these images impact how Coinder sees herself and her body? And how do they impact how boys see Coinder and feel they can treat her? Think of isms like sexism and racism, and phobias like xenophobia and homophobia, like kryptonite, a kryptonite that only targets people who are different, regardless of their age, weakening their superpowers and putting their mental and physical health at constant risk. This kryptonite lives in the very building blocks of our society, and it radiates poison so strongly that it is in everything. Our institutions, our laws, our rules, our books, our media, our language, and studies show it's even in our body language. And because we cannot see this toxic radiation, just that only certain populations are being negatively impacted, it is easy, especially for children, to look down on and blame people who are different that face challenges and say it's because of these differences. It's because she's just a girl. It's because she's brown. It's because she's not really Canadian. And sadly, this toxicity is also internalized by children like Coinder, so much so that she feels uncomfortable in her own body, in her own skin, already by the age of 5. Now, Coinder is a smart girl, but she does not have the vocabulary or lens to say, hey, society is hurting me. Instead, she thinks it's her fault for being different. The good news is that we have a lens. We have world citizen glasses, and we can support children like Coinder. Seeing the problem is part of the solution. Knowing our world is a work in progress, we can work towards progress. We can help our children have hope and understanding for themselves and their world. And simple things can help kids see their world differently. For example, I have my students put on their world citizen glasses and visualize the world as a village of 10 people. If our world was a village of 10 people, how many would be African, Asian, Caribbean, and Latin American? How many would be European, North American, and Oceanian? I'll give you a moment to think about it. If our world was a village of 10 people, 1.5 would be African, 6 would be Asian, and 1 would be Caribbean/Latin American. There would be 1 European, and just 0.5 would be North American/Oceanian. About 85% of our world is Black, Indigenous, or a person of color. And most students are shocked by this. Ms. Nicholson, really? Asians make up 60% of the planet? And grade 12 students and adults are also often surprised. But for students like Cowinder, they get to see that they are not a minority. They are a part of the global majority. Africans, Asians, South Americans, Indigenous peoples, they're leaders, role models, and heroes all over the world, billions of them. There are close to 200 countries in this world with amazing people doing amazing things. We just don't often see or hear their stories. I encourage my students to wear their world citizen glasses, be curious, and realize we have so much more learning to do. Speaking of learning, a number of students can have physical and/or learning disabilities and feel alone and ashamed about their differences. Let them know that 15% of the world, that's 1 billion people, have a disability. That's everybody living in North America and South America combined. They are not alone. I like to see myself also as a modern-day Wonder Woman because I wonder why. If women and girls make up 50% of the planet, we don't see that represented positively or proportionally. I encourage my students to wear their world citizen glasses, wonder too, and think about how this limited and limiting representation impact how we visualize and value women in our society. About 10% of our world identify as being part of the LGBTQ+ community, and hopefully those numbers will rise as our world becomes a safer space to self-identify. About 15% of our world has a mental health condition, and the list goes on, but it's a start so students can see that differences and diversity, they are normal, they are natural, they're happening everywhere all the time. It's a global phenomenon. With my world citizen glasses, I aim to reflect this rainbow of reality positively and proportionately in all my spheres of influence, from the posters I choose for my classroom walls to the posts I put up on social media. And when I make my choices, I wear my world citizen glasses so I can visualize students like Cowinder standing beside me, holding my hand, asking me to do right by them. Can you please pick something so I can see myself and feel proud of who I am? Can you please show people who look like me as just everyday people and main characters and role models? And please share the story about the brown crayon with as many people as you can, because I know there are other kids that need to hear that brown is all the colors of the rainbow. The information and images that we use and share, whether we think kids are looking or not, they impact how kids see and treat themselves and how they see and treat other people. I was working in another kindergarten class and met a kind and curious girl we'll call Asha. Asha loved to dance and draw. She twirled as much as walked into her room, and she liked to draw in details like a sun in the corner with a smiley face and trees with birds. She also asked lots of questions, loved to share her thoughts, and she was an enthusiastic hand putter-upper. Asha was engaged in her learning. I read a book to her class called I Will Be Fierce, written by B. Birdsong and illustrated by Nidhi Chinani. It's a fabulous book about a girl who faces her fears. She's got black curly hair, brown eyes, brown skin, and she's wearing a rainbow shirt. Asha was ecstatic just looking at the cover. As I read the book, she glowed like a star finding her shine. Her eyes brightened with each page. She waggled her hands in delight, and she smiled with her whole being. If I could have bottled her happiness, it could power the world, and we would no longer need fossil fuels. When I finished the book, Asha said, "Oh, Miss Nicholson, she looks just like me. She's got hair like me and eyes like me. She's the same color as me. And look, we are both wearing a rainbow shirt." She could hardly contain herself, and the whole class agreed that this was as fantastic as a sky full of rainbows. Reading this book let boys and white children put themselves in the shoes of a girl with brown skin. And studies show that sharing stories of marginalized people that feature them in a positive light, that breaks stereotypes, that's three-dimensional and realistic, this grows empathy and compassion. It builds connection and it brings us together. And for Asha, this story touched her heart, mind, body, and soul. Instead of feeling typically neglected, she felt reflected. She felt counted. Instead of seeing herself as a non-existent person, a zero in a book, she got to see herself on every page as a hero. You can be a hero every day in the lives of children just by wearing your world citizen glasses. Help students like Cowinder love their differences. Help kids like Asha grow positive self-identities. Help all children learn to value and appreciate differences and diversity so we can have a kinder, more connected, and caring world. With your world citizen glasses, see through the eyes of children. Represent the rainbow of reality positively and proportionately in all your spheres of influence. And please share the vision. Thank you.